COVID radar to find where the new variants are coming from, to help sequence variants across the world and detect them when they're just emerging in very small numbers. But as well as more money, which you can understand is always the request amongst these kind of international organisations, there is also a request for more powers for the World Health Organization. France and Germany in particular pushing for that, but it's not a universal idea that everyone's on board with. More powers for the World Health Organization when dealing with such a pandemic like this could potentially mean more power to interfere in member countries' affairs. If the World Health Organization has the power to say certain rules relating to COVID-19, well, as we've seen, COVID-19 affects every aspect of the economy and so could give the WHO more power than a lot of member states are willing to give. And talking of sovereignty, this is one of the other issues being discussed at the summit, is Taiwan and whether it should be allowed to join the WHO. There is increasing support for Taiwan to be a member. China says it already has ways to contribute to the WHO without being a full member. But Taiwan was one of the countries which we saw dealt with the pandemic very well. And a lot of countries pressuring, saying that they have a lot to offer and therefore should be able to join the WHO.
Yes, the World Health Assembly runs until June the 1st. Thank you very much, Stuart Smith, speaking to us from Brussels.
Japan is ramping up its vaccination drive with just 2 months until the Olympics. It's opened mass vaccination centres that can cater to thousands of people each day. The focus is on ensuring its large elderly population is vaccinated before the Games begin. Michio Ishida with this report.
With the medical team of the Self-Defense Forces taking the lead, the Japanese government aims to administer 5,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines a day in Tokyo and 2,500 in Osaka through vaccination sites like this one. A shortage of medical staff has been a main factor contributing to the country's slow rollout, with local authorities finding it hard to mobilize enough staff in their vaccination drive.
地方自治体、東京都が接種する日にちよりも今日の方が早くスケジュールが取れたので早くうちに来ました。はい。
So far, only about 2.3 million people in Japan have been fully vaccinated. Until last week, only Pfizer was available. Moderna and AstraZeneca vaccines were only added on Friday.
It's a slow kickoff of vaccination here, starting with those living in 23 wards of Tokyo, and then expanding to those in the suburbs of Tokyo, and then to those living in the prefectures surrounding Tokyo. And this vaccination drive will continue for 3 months.
With 28% of its population over 65 years old, the government has focused its inoculation drive on the elderly, who have to book their slots through the internet or the popular messaging app Line.
やっぱりネットはちょっとできないですから、私が全部やって。
Other than the sites set up by the Self-Defense Forces, local governments have also put up their own vaccination sites. Chiyoda is one of them.
The central government has been calling for the inoculation of elderly residents to begin in April. But it was only in May that Chiyoda Ward has been able to receive vaccines.
Officials said the start hasn't been as smooth as they had hoped.
集団接種を経験していないということで、全く一からの手探りというのがあります。会場をどこにするかというのもありますし。
She chose the hall in the ward office as one of 5 mass vaccination sites for Chiyoda. Supporting the inoculation is the medical team of the local Kudanzaka Hospital.
かなり綿密な打ち合わせをしたつもりだったんですけれども、やはり細かいことでちょっとほころびがあって、対象者の方をお待たせしたりとか、今日帰ってからちょっと反省会をしようかなと思います。
The government had previously said it aims to vaccinate all people 65 and older who wish to get vaccinated by the end of July.
若い方たちやなんかまだ打ってないんで、今まで通りのね、用心した生活をね、やはりある程度続けようと思うんです。
The government has yet to lay out a plan to vaccinate people below the age of 65, even though it has already secured enough supplies to vaccinate all of its population. Michio Ishida, CNA, Tokyo.
And still to come, the coronavirus crisis in India appears to be levelling off, but there are fears a new wave of farmers' protests could change that. Plus, South Korea dives into the world of digital currencies.
Should you use your CPF for property investment? Come to the Singapore Property Show 2021 to learn more from leading property market experts in 40 informative webinars. Our top flight speakers will be covering a wide range of topics to help you make a most informed decision. How do you make the most of your CPF for property investment? Are ECs still the golden goose? Is owning multiple properties only for the wealthy? What kind of property is in demand by district? Get these answers and more. Plus, stand to win $8,000 worth of cash prizes. Join us at our webinars this weekend on 29th and 30th May for essential property investment advice. What are you waiting for? Visit sps2021.99.co to register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organized by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
We're going to be 10 billion people from the current 7 billion in just the next couple of decades.
So little land with so many mouths to feed.
The climate is collapsing. Every day we are facing new challenges.
Asia's food security is at breaking point.
We need to innovate in order to provide sufficient food for people in the world.
There are great challenges in front of us, and only future will tell us how successful we are going to be.
These are the people racing to feed the world.
I would say 80% of them said I was crazy.
Itu diwujudkan saat semester akhir kuliah.
तो हमने सोचा कि ये हमारा एक टेक्नोलॉजी को रियल टाइम है जब मार्केट में लाने के लिए, और बस वही पॉइंट था हमारे लिए.
It's first catch the meat, but it was in China. That's magic.
Do I want to come to a situation where my children are going to ask me, so you knew all of this stats, yet you haven't done anything about it?
Race to Feed the World, premiering 31st of May, Monday on CNA.
There was a huge manhunt for this man.
Podcast producer Rovik Roberts investigates a mysterious murder from the past.
This is a spicy case. Spicy.
To understand how Singapore turned from a city of vice.
Singapore was a Chicago of the East. Clashes and shootings were rampant.
Into one of the safest in the world.
When the killing started, holy smoke, it was a game changer.
Into the Vault 3, Wednesday on CNA.
This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation.
Hello there, in business tonight. Gold is back in favor. Prices jumping to hover near their highest in more than 4 months on concerns of a weaker US dollar and growing inflationary pressure. Now, the wild volatility of cryptocurrencies also lifted the safe haven metals' appeal. Funds are returning to the bullion, sending spot gold prices up to $1,884 per ounce this afternoon. Last week, gold prices hit their highest level since January. Spot gold trading at around $1,881 an ounce. Silver, palladium, and platinum, they also gain. Rising precious metal prices in the past year have coincided with higher copper prices. The benchmark copper price on the London Metal Exchange hit a record high in early May, more than $10,000 a ton. That's double what it was just a year ago. Now, the rally is expected to continue, with the main driver being China's recovery from its COVID-19 slump. Copper is turning into an attractive commodity as major countries push for decarbonization. This boosts demand for electric vehicles as well as wind and solar power generation stations, which depend on copper for their electric cables. And many investors are rushing to jump on the cryptocurrency bandwagon, but not HSBC. The bank says cryptocurrencies are too volatile